Hello and welcome to Invictus Porsche. We've got with us a Porsche Boxster 981. This is the 981S with a 3.4 litre engine, and I'll tell you everything you need to know about it and perhaps why you should consider one of these, because they're an absolute dream of a car to own and essentially offers you everything you want from a Porsche experience at a good price, essentially for good value, and something that won't lose you a lot of money either. The 981 Boxster S, especially the 3.4 litre engine, has essentially everything one would look for in a car. A soft top, meaning it's a convertible, mid-engine, so essentially you've got the best handling on the road of a car you could desire. Practicality-wise, you've got a front boot and a rear boot, so essentially you've got storage space ticked off. And all in all, it's a dream to own because it offers everything you would want, both in a winter and in a summer, because they've got phenomenal handling, and at the same time in the summer they are an absolute joy to own. Or perhaps in the very limited good weather that we get through the winter, it's better to be in one of these coming out of your drab day in the office than in a coupe. Now, what is this like from a specification point of view, and should you perhaps consider buying this or one of these? Spec wise, they are pretty well specced out because you got these beautifully elegant, really curved, sculpted LED rail lights. This whole end of it, essentially this whole car is just so much better designed. This is essentially the third generation of the Porsche Boxster, the first being in 1998, which was the 986 Boxster, the second being in 2004, which was the 987 Boxster, and the third being in 2011, which is this, the 981. It's elegant, it's up to date, it's modern, and it essentially has everything you could look for from an aesthetic point of view. Spec-wise, this is finished in this super gorgeous agate grey metallic color, complemented with the 20-inch Techno Sports alloys. On the inside, you've got the sport steering wheel with paddle shifts. They're brilliant to have. The rest of the spec includes the fact that this has got the Bose the climate control with front heated seats. You've got the sport seats, the guards red seat belts. Essentially, you've got the sports button. This engine is complemented now in this car with the 7-speed PDK gearbox, otherwise known as Doppelkupplungsgetriebe, the dual clutch transmission. To really know what something like this offers, you got to drive it and hear that awesome sound that is produced by the 3.4 litre flat 6 Boxster engine, that roar and that grunt. And essentially this is why I started off the review with a classic right next to it. And with a soft top, you can actually really feel and have this visceral experience of what it's like being really in tune and together with your car, as opposed to the coupe where you almost feel slightly shelled. So to really experience the Porsche, I guess something like this, not only does it offer the benefit of both of the experience, the soft top is really good to have because you get to enjoy and hear the car and be together with the car. Let's get behind the wheel, drive it, and tell you a little bit more. Now let's get behind the wheel, drive it, and tell you what it's all about. To truly experience these cars, you've got to drive it. And there's no better way to know one of these is to actually have a good test drive and essentially discover everything that you need to discover about these cars. Right from the get-go, having the sport steering wheel, it is extremely involving because it just feels superb in your hands, and you know it gives it that sports-like feel to it. And what I most love about the Porsche brand is obviously the practicality, and it's essentially a car that can be daily every single day. It's not going to break your back, and It's comfortable, but at the same time, it's a sporty sports car that handles essentially like no other car. This has this little wind deflector at the back as well, which can be changed to like a perplex or a glass wind deflector. So it will essentially make it transparent and helps with the visibility. But the wind deflector also helps to keep the wind at the minimum here in the center of the vehicle. Now, in terms of this being the mid-engine 3.4 litre, the S engine, what does it offer performance-wise? I mean, what are we essentially getting from this beautiful Porsche direct fuel-injected Boxster 6 3.4 litre engine? BHP, you're looking at 315 brake horsepower, 360 Newton meters of torque. The top speed is 177 miles per hour. And the reason the 0 to 60 miles per hour is possible in 5 seconds, that is because this weighs 1,395 kilograms. Let's drop it down now, press that sports button, and hear the exhaust. This is me changing the gears with the pedal shifts, with a bit of manual input. And essentially, if I was to take my foot off the accelerator and gently press it back in, the car automatically recognizes to go back into sports gearing. This, from an owner's point of view, has 5 owners from new. It's got a very, very good service history. It was traded into us against a Porsche 911, and the service history is a mixture of Porsche and Porsche main dealer and specialists. This is in very good condition, very well spec'd, and essentially drives like a dream. And just having one of these, whether it's every day or for the weekend, going through these bends at the speed I am, the performance and the handling of the mid-engine Boxster or the Cayman is just phenomenal. I mean, it makes my hair on my hands stand up. I just think, you know, if there's one car I had to pick, because I have a boring job in an office, it doesn't exactly have to be a boring job, but if there's one car, one Porsche that I had to pick in my showroom to take home, you know, it will be something like this. Because let's take it out of sports mode in the natural gearing and experience what it likes. At 4,500 RPM. And essentially, this is still, when you compare it to the newer Porsches, this is still a very nimble, petite, small car, essentially. It has a phenomenal size, you know, from the smallness of it, in comparison to some of the bigger, wider sports cars. And essentially, this is a true testament to Porsche being able to design something that has got to be comfortable, that has got to be slightly bigger, but at the same time, you know, to keep the nimble, petite shape and size of the Boxster. And this is something that I have to commend Porsche for, and essentially creating a brand and a model of a car that is essentially so well liked. Now, what are they like values-wise? Because that's something that I did say I was going to cover. I mean, the 981S's did bottom out in terms of values approximately 2 years ago, maybe 2 to 3 years ago. I mean, since then, they've only actually just gone up in value. And at the moment, these cars are sitting price-wise in the high 20s or the low to mid 30,000 pounds. And essentially, you're not going to lose much in something like this. You know, you buy one of these, put 5 to 10,000 miles on it, and get the pleasure of owning a Porsche, get the pleasure of the happiness and everything that it has to offer. But at the same time, when it comes to selling it back, you know, there isn't much you lose in it. But at the same time, you live once, go out there, especially when you are looking to buy something like this, go out there, buy it, put a smile on your face, and essentially live your life. And this is why I absolutely adore having to review this, having to drive these cars. And every time I look at one of these, doesn't matter whether it's a Boxster or Cayman or a 911, I think they're fascinating to look at, fascinating to drive, fascinating to review. And essentially, it is such a classic car, despite the fact that this is, 10 years old. You wouldn't think something like this could be classic so soon. And one of the key reasons for that is, especially the Boxster 981s or the Cayman 981s, is because this is essentially the last time these cars were naturally aspirated 6-cylinder, because the recent ones are 4-cylinder, twin turbocharged, and one can argue that it has lost some true inherent characteristics of what it means to drive a Porsche. But that's a subject for a different video to discuss and to talk about. And I appreciate you guys tagging along for this review and watching us, and thank you for supporting us. And don't forget to subscribe and comment and give us a thumbs up, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.